Hello, I'm Leroy Garcia, and this is Blue Rain Gallery Podcast. Today we're in the studio of GL Richardson, who's preparing for a show that will be opening up the last Friday of July. GL is one of our younger artists in our stable. He's also one of the more talented young artists that we have. I think when you look at his work, you can appreciate the talent. There has been cross comparisons to other artists, say like Britt Shoulder, in the fact that some of GL's work is very minimal. But there's a lot of thought that has gone on behind his work that I want to talk about today. I'd like to talk about some pieces individually. So GL, come on in to your own studio.
Thank you.
So we're here with GL, and is there a common theme for your show?
There is.
And what would that be? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I guess it's easier to start with the title of the show. It's Ties That Bind. I was also playing with another title at one point. It was a riff on dog-eared pages of a book. And I just felt like this Ties That Bind was clearer. And I also just liked how it sounded better. But basically they get at the same thing. These pieces all are somehow related to me, my past, people, places, and animals, and anything else that has been in my past. And these pieces anchor me. They bind me to these places and people, like I said. So I'd say that's the overarching theme. Most of these pieces are all from my photography, or at least incorporate heavily an element of that. And I'm reaching back to photos from like 2020 and 2019 even. So yeah, it's kind of a historical look.
Yeah. For those of you who, there's a podcast that we've already done on GL, but he's one of these authentic people that what you see depicted in his work is his lifestyle. It's ranching, it's tending to the fields and the animals, and mending fences and all kinds of cool things.
Important to note that it's no longer my day-to-day. But yes, I did work on a ranch and grew a lot out there, and it's still heavily incorporated into my work and how I see the world.
Yeah. Let's start here with this one. But give me an idea of what you're trying to convey here.
Okay. So the title of the piece is No Quit. And it's just something, if you've been around horses and even people, dogs, there's certain ones that they don't have quit. They keep going no matter what, no matter the difficulties they're facing or how tired they might be or how long the day's been. You never see it. Mm-hmm. It's not reflected in how they are and act. And I had a very close relationship with a horse called JC at the ranch. And he was one of those horses. He had no quit.
No quit. What I like here too is the hint of a fence line. Mm-hmm. It's not exactly totally defined. It's more suggestive, isn't it?
Yes.
Was that your intent? And
it's floating.
It's floating.
Yeah. So is it a real fence line? Is it not? It's supposed to add to the meaning. And it does to me. I don't love being totally prescriptive and saying exactly what pieces mean, because I've had people not hear what I meant in a piece, and then what they read into it is actually what had it resonate so much with them.
Yeah.
And it was completely different than what I meant. So
that happens a lot in our
yeah. Actually, one of the most impactful meanings pulled from one of my pieces was at the show last year. And it was completely different than what I was thinking when I painted it. Yeah. So I'll let the fence line and the birds kind of just hang out there, not describe exactly what that means. But yeah, I think that what I said generally high level gets at what this piece means.
Yeah. And again, this is a stereotypical GL piece that's minimalist. You're really focused on the horse and the cowboy, and then the subjective line of the fence. Let's go over here to this one. This is kind of reminiscent of a painting last year, a little bit. Was it Anna?
Yes.
Is it still Anna?
It's still Anna.
Nice. Anna is Jill's partner, and she's also a cowgirl herself. So that's pretty cool.
She actually works right next to Blue Rain now.
Oh, yeah.
As a landscape architect.
Yeah, nice.
But at one point, yes. And we still get out there. The photo that I worked off of, or multiple photos that I worked off of to make this piece, were taken in February this year. Mm-hmm. So we are lucky enough to still be able to get out there and work with our friends and quasi live the life too. It's not really, but yeah, we'll like jump in for moves or brandings or what.
So the medium you're using, this is on a panel. Is it oil?
It is oil.
It's oil.
Yeah. And basically, I think, so this photo comes from, like I said, multiple, and the background comes from a night photo I took. It was the first time that we'd ever ridden our horses in pitch black. And I was able to pull out enough detail from that to
well, it looks like you have the North Star right there.
Right? Yeah, there, yes. There's one element that you can focus on besides the foreground, and it is that star.
Yeah.
I like that you can tell, like she's at a height that she could see over the hill, but we can't from our perspective. We're lower than her.
Right.
And so what she's looking at, all we can go on is this one little element, this star. And yeah, I like having question marks in paintings, inviting viewers' imagination to fill in the rest of the picture.
Yeah. Well, that's important. And I think that's the way to approach it.
Yeah.
So this painting here reminds me a little bit like the backside of Johnny Cash.
Okay, that's
right?
cool.
That's my interpretation.
Man in Black.
Yeah, Man in Black.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So tell me what's going on with this painting, GL.
Okay, so it also has a floating element like this piece with the floating fence line. And that's something that I incorporated into a lot of these pieces is some extra element that kind of feeds into the meaning of the piece. So it's got this keychain, it's an owl, and then we've got a man facing a door with a lasso over his shoulder. Looks like he's leaving. And no key on the keychain, door in front of him. It's an owl too. And the title references the Peter, Paul, and Mary song, Long Chain On. And I'd actually never heard that song when I painted this piece, but then I just started I was like, I knew I wanted to use something with chain. I was looking it up, like what else is out there? Books, songs. I found that song, and it was almost like I was painting the song the whole time and didn't know it. I'd never heard it before. And so that also, the meaning is tied to that song as well. And the meaning that they have in those lyrics, which is, we have these things from our past, these question marks in our own life. Did we make the right decision? We kind of carry them with them. It's like baggage, in other words. And so the lack of key and the owl on the chain, it's like, was it wise? Is basically the question I'm asking myself here. Leaving.
It looks like a night scene, obviously, right?
Yep.
So he's leaving into the darkness.
Yes.
To do something.
Yep.
There's another cowboy painting above this one with the looks like somebody's tumbling in
fence mending folly.
Fence.
Yep. So
barbed wire.
Yes. Yeah. And he's got fencing pliers in his hand and fence post there. And just when we make certain moves, I guess, like this one ties back to a painting from a couple years ago, Loose Ends. We were trying to wrap up some of those loose ends, and there's a fence post in that painting too, and a fence builder walking away from the fence line. Here the fence builder is wrapped up in the wire and ties in very personally to a decision we made earlier in the year, trying to tie up some loose ends and getting caught up in a bad couple decisions. Yeah. So.
Well, welcome to the club.
Yes.
You sound pretty normal to me. And okay, so on the floor here we have some, is it pastel on paper?
It's oil. This one is oil stick and raw pigment ground into the paper.
Wow, they're beautiful.
Thank you.
Great words. So this guy is holding his heart or something. What's going on?
It's called Dreams Are Fires Barely. And basically how quickly, so we all have ideas of what our futures look like, and we're kind of carrying those dreams with us. And some people get them to the pile of wood, the tinder, and allow it to ignite, get it to ignite. Other times that fire, it doesn't make it.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's just that struggle of you have to keep the fire alive, get it to where it's an actual fire.
Because they're using oil sticks and stuff, there's a softness to this, right?
I think that's from the raw pigment.
Ground
it in on top of
You're using
oil
your
stick.
finger a lot
Yeah.
to push that in. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. And what about this guy here?
So this is the most recent piece, just finished this one up. Title on it is Memories Like a Freight Train. And silhouette, very stark silhouette looking out over a landscape. And basically just commenting on how quickly memory, like places anchor us, and the memories that come back when you're back looking over. In this case, a ranch that I worked on. It's a photo that I took from the front porch, I believe. And yeah, it just all comes flooding back, sort of.
It looks like a road going through the top of that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's actually railroad ties. And I guess now's as good a time I need to talk about just that in a lot of these pieces, there is some sort of rope or chain or fence line or railroad ties or hands being held. So that's a more literal connection to ties that bind.
Yeah.
For the overarching, the title of the show.
Pretty cool. Some good thinking there. Conceptualization. Okay, so this one here is a larger format. And is this Anna again?
This is also Anna.
Yeah, you're lucky you have a great model.
I know. Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
And where's this scene at?
This is in the arroyo right outside of our house.
Is it still a work in progress?
No,
It is done?
this is finished. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. And that's one of the things, the fact that you asked that, like, I like that there's an almost unfinished gestural quality to a lot of these marks that I've made.
Yeah.
It just gives it a lot of movement, I think.
Yeah.
There's already movement happening in the piece, but then the chamisa and all of the foliage in the back and her shirt and everything, those marks to me add to the sense of movement. So yeah, this piece is related to this one of JC, in that we both have had experience with certain horses where they're the one that raised your confidence with a horse. It's a huge moment to be like, wow, like the two of us, me and this horse, are out here alone and we're doing what we're supposed to do. I have complete control. They don't feel uneasy with me. And Anna finally had that moment with a horse this past year, and I wanted to make a piece about it. The horse's name is Yellow, and I think that ties in nicely with chamisa.
I never realized that, horses are like just big dogs. They are. Well, they're a lot more powerful, but they are like puppies sometimes.
Yeah,
and they'll follow you around.
Definitely.
They'll mess with you.
Yes, the love and the connection that you can have with a horse is pretty deep.
I remember my uncle. They finally took his horse away. He was like 93 years old, but he had one of those Tennessee walkers, and he'd be all
trotting around.
It was amazing. Yeah. But yeah, we grew up on ranching as well. We raised Black Angus and Hereford cows, and
Yeah, but you were like, this isn't for me.
I told my grandpa, I'm like, I'm not going to work this hard.
Yeah,
and I actually work harder.
Yeah, for sure.
That's funny.
Yeah, up here.
Yeah, it was tough. I'd like to thank GL for inviting us into his studio and giving us an advance showing of what's coming to Blue Rain Gallery at the end of this month. I'd like to encourage everybody to sign up for our podcast. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, just go to blueraingallery.com under the menu bar podcast. Also like to encourage you to visit our online store, bluerainprintshop.com, where you can find products including prints of GL's work, amongst many other things, clothing, whatever you want. It's an amazing store. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Leroy.
You're welcome.